Hello everybody, it's TONIK TCW and this is World of Warships Legends. Now this is a highlight game from a stream that we played the other night where I was in division with my buddy Full Potato Jack. I'm in the tier 4 Kamikaze and I believe he is in the Italian cruiser Zara. Now I did get super excited at this one because although I've got a tally of Krakens under my belt, I've never once been able to pull one off on live stream. So this was a first for me, and I'm glad to say I've now broken that duck. Now we spawn on the left side of the map and we know that all these ships like to push down to that area of the minimap, and I indicate that that is where my closest target is. Now, a rare occasion for me playing a destroyer is there isn't an aircraft carrier on this map, and that gives me the potential to do a lot of movement, a lot of spotting, and trying as hard as I can to stay undetected, which is a little bit easier when you haven't got a carrier in the game and with a low concealment kamikaze. So I know that DDs often like to push through that gap there, so I just stick a couple of torpedoes across there, hoping to catch somebody unawares. We're then going to continue to push around the corner and see what we can get spotted. Now, a lot of teams will hold at this point and just try to use these little islands for cover, and often it doesn't work out because the red team can split and come through both ways, and if they push across the top of the map, you're then in a crossfire because your right flank is exposed. Now we see that there is a cruiser there. He is using that island very well indeed to cover himself from any fire coming from this side. But as I push round, he's going to be forced into a position where he has to move forward because I'm certain that he knows there's a destroyer behind him. The buy-in is pushing in as well, so we think, well, if he's going to keep going in a straight line, we'll spank some torpedoes out there with a little bit of spread across them, and hopefully he'll sail into them. If we can do a bit of damage, get a flood, then it's going to make it a little bit easier for us to finish him off. Now, red team do lose their Nuremberg. He pushed too hard, too fast. We do get a flood on the buy-in, and at this stage in the game, I'm dare to say he has damage controlled it. And that means that he is ripe for another flood, and with the fast loading torpedoes on this kamikaze, I'm going to make sure that that happens, unless of course he keeps zigzagging backwards and forwards and denying me the opportunity. Now if you look there towards B cap, its smoke screen has gone up, but you'll notice that the cap is not being contested, or it's not being turned, which means the destroyer is out there but he's not on cap, and this is going to prove fatal to him. We get some torpedoes on, we get a flood on him, but that's not going to tick because he takes another torpedo and the buy-in is off the map. That gives us 31k damage. We up on our first kill of the game, and red team are already down 3 ships to our nil. Now, as I said, that smoke screen appeared as we were hunting the buy-in, and that is the location of our closest target. So we're going to push in on that, and I'm a little bit wary of the ships up on the spawn cap for red team, because I don't want to get spotted and be broadside to them as I run in. But as we move in, we do get the enemy destroyer spotted. His smoke screen has now dissipated. He is kind of stuck on his own. So I'm going to put my torpedoes out there, and then I'm going to try to bait him into coming back out at me or popping a shot at me. So as I disappear around the corner, I put some shots out at him, and then I put my torpedoes across his front. So if he does decide to come charging out, that he's got something else to think about. But for whatever reason, he started shooting at the rest of the team. and the rest of the team, including Full Potato Jack, do start chunking him for health. And I don't mind not getting this kill, because I'd rather stay undetected. But I get a little bit lucky, and one of those torpedoes just pick him up for kill number 2. Only an additional 10k damage, but you know, it all counts. Now, I've just pinged the map there because if you look across the other side of the map, I think there's 4 or 5 blue team ships on that side of the map, and yet they haven't been able to control or contest that cap. They're content to be hiding behind their islands like the majority of people in this game, and it still does get incredibly frustrating to see this happening all the time. They have got a numerical advantage, but still they just don't seem to want to push or to move in and contest that cap. So as the destroyer's out of the way, we're actually going to push in ourselves, and we're going to turn this cap because we are currently a cap down. Now, points-wise, we have got a decent lead, and we're going to try and build on that lead by turning this cap, and then we're going to push to a red spawn cap at the top of the map. So that's going to take a little while, but Full Potato Jack is following me up, and obviously with 2 ships on a capture point, it turns a lot quicker. So if you can stay undetected and not get the cap reset, always try to support your destroyer and get on that cap and get it turned quicker. So having had this cap turned, we then continue to push, and we can see that there are 3 battleships towards the back of the map, and I'm thinking, I've got 2 kills here now, potentially a couple of big BBs out here, we could be on for a Kraken. But at this stage in the game, we're not exactly thinking about that. We're on about pushing our points advantage and increasing that points advantage, because that is how you win domination, and capture points are key to this. So we know we've got a Bayern, I think we've got a Hugo out there, and what's that? We've got a California and a Hugo, and I actually know one of the guys that is in that Hugo, and I think he's probably recognised the fact that I am in my kamikaze, and he knows that if there isn't a DD to come and get me, or an aircraft carrier to spot me, that I'm actually quite handy in this. The Bayern is going to be the smartest player here, I think, but those two are working well together. They're sticking in together, they're trying to focus targets, and I think they're literally using will to rebuild to make sure that they don't take too much damage and can keep up the fight as long as they can. Now, thankfully, the guys across on the other side of the cap have decided to push in and take that cap, having dealt with the destroyer. So there are literally these 3 guys left on the map. We've lost 2 ships to their 6, and this Bayern's going to try and play a little bit smart. I think he's watching for the torpedo launch indicator, and I think he's going to play with his speed and his direction a little bit. But it is only going to be a matter of time before we turn this capture point. He could sail into contest it, but he's going up against a cruiser and a destroyer, and we're going to do what we can to remove him from the map as soon as possible. Now I'm looking across and I'm seeing that those guys on the other side of the map are taking chunks off those 2 battleships, and so at the moment I'm just thinking, well, we can take a win. It doesn't look like a Kraken's on the cards on this one, because surely they are going to be able to take those 2 battleships out between themselves. Somebody puts shots in across at the Bayern. I'm going to start slapping my torpedoes out, and the last set of 2 I put out on a widespread, because I know this guy is wise to torpedoes coming in. He knows that I'm here on this cap. So we spam those out there, we leave those running, and then we're looking at where those other 2 guys are heading, and they're asking for fire on this Hugo, and these 2 guys are sticking together. Now the Bayern turns out and misses the double spread that I put out, but very thankfully my thought process of he might turn out of these works quite well, and I land the double widespread torpedoes on him. So we already have a reload up. The Hugo and the California know that the Bayern has just disappeared to me, and I'm going to push in on them. Now I run smoke here because I'm thinking I want to try and get a fire on these guys because they're very low health and they've already taken hits. And if they have damage control, then there's a good chance if I get a fire that it is going to tick on them. So we get 2 hits on the California. We get floods, but he damage cons those. We're going to try and get another couple of salvos off, but they disappear. Now, this Ismail here, I have no idea what he was thinking because he could have angled much better on the corner of this island. Because as those two guys push through, they just slap him off the map. And I think he could have done a much better job in positioning himself there to take one of these battleships out. But I do get spotted as we come past here, and I slap another 2 set out towards that Hyuga. They know I'm here. I hit my repair, and literally we are now looking at just going for a YOLO to finish this game. The bad thing about controlling all the capture points is that your points is ticking up very, very, very quickly. And so that leaves a lot less time to actually try and get in and get the kill. So playing well actually puts you at a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to trying to kill ships. These two guys are running, hoping that they can get away. At this point, I'm thinking, we've got this game won. I'm just going to slap my torpedoes out there and I'm going to see what I can do to try and finish these two guys off. Knowing full well that there are still 3 battleships and full potato jack out there who kindly holds us fire on this one. But we take the California, we land a torpedo on the Hugo, we finally get a couple of shots on him, but the flood picks him up, we pick up the Kraken, we pick up a double strike, which is a very stylish way to finish off my first Kraken live stream. We end up top of the board with 2298 base XP, which is by no means huge numbers. But I did dance a little jig on live stream at that one, and I did kind of scare a few people, I think, because I cheered very loudly. But if you have enjoyed this video, please do click the like button down the bottom. If you're new coming past the channel, do consider hitting the subscribe button. We're almost up to 400 and I'd really like to keep that going upwards. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you have a great day. Fair winds and following seas, Captain.